Hello viewer, I welcome you all to a new video in our YouTube channel English Reader. And in this video, we shall read the poem A Doctor's Journal Entry for 6th August 1945. This poem is written by Vikram Seth, and this poem is a description of the destruction of infamous day of 6th August 1945 when USA dropped atomic bomb to conclude the Second World War. We know that Hiroshima and Nagasaki, two cities in Japan, were completely devastated by atomic bomb by USA. And this poem is about the experience of a doctor who had seen all the things to take place on 6th August 1945. Let us start to read the poem. The beginning of the poem is: the morning stretched calm, beautiful and warm. At the beginning of the poem, the poet is saying that the morning is a beautiful one. The poet is beginning the poem with a peaceful note, and he describes the morning as calm, beautiful and warm. This was the month of August, so it was a little warm. Sprawling, half clad, I gazed out at the form of simmering leaves and shadows. Here, sprawling means to lie down in a comfortable position. The doctor is saying that I was half dressed and just woke up, and I saw that the shining leaves and the shadows of the leaves are making the nature beautiful outside. Suddenly, a strong flash, then another, startled me. Suddenly, a flash of light surprised me. The doctor is saying that suddenly I found a flash of light. I could not make out what was actually happening, but there was a flash of light, and once again another flash of light, and due to that I was surprised. I saw the old stone lantern brightly lit. The doctor is saying that I could see the stone lantern lit up at a distance. In those times, at every point of the cities, they used to install stone lantern. In this time there was no metal lantern, they used to use stone lantern. So the poet describes that he could see a stone lantern lighting in a little distance. Magnesium flares. He also imagined that it could be a magnesium flare. Magnesium flare means when the magnesium metal comes in contact with the oxygen of nature, then when the magnesium metal comes in contact with air, it gives out a flare of light which is visible from quite a distance. So the poet is saying that the doctor could see the magnesium flares when there was lightning struck, there was a sudden lightning. He confused that it might be the light of magnesium flares. While I debated it, the roof, the walls, and as it seemed, the world collapsed in timber and debris, just swirled around me in the garden now, and where my drawers and undershirt disappeared. So while the doubt was still there in my mind, the poet is saying that the doctor was having the doubt that why these things are happening, where the light is coming from. All this doubt was still there in his mind. He suddenly noticed that the roof and the wall of a building in front of his eyes collapsed, and the timber of the building scattered everywhere. Everything turned into a ruin. Everything was dashed into the ground. And all these things were happening in front of the doctor. There was dust all around. And the doctor, while he was in garden, he suddenly realized that the dress he was wearing was disappeared. My drawers and undershirt, means his undergarments, everything was disappeared. He was wearing a loose outfit during the morning. Everything was disappeared. A splinter jutted from my mangled thigh. The doctor discovered a small sharp glass piece has wounded his thigh badly. Mangled thigh means injured thigh. My right side blade, my cheek was torn, and I dislodged detachedly a piece of glass, all the time wondering what had come to pass. The right side of the doctor's body was bleeding. His cheek was injured too. Being confused and emotionless, he dislodged the piece of glass that was on his thigh. He also could not make out what was actually going on around him. He was wandering around. He could not understand. He could not make out what was going on around him. Where was my wife? Alarmed, I gave a shout. Where are you? Eko-san. Now the doctor gave out a loud cry to call his wife. He called out by the name of his wife. Eko-san, where are you? My blood gushed out. So his whole body was bleeding. He was bathed with blood. The artery in my neck, scared for my life, I called out, panic stricken, to my wife. The doctors is saying that I was bleeding, and the bleeding in my body was so quick that I believed it was coming out from my artery, and he feared that it might cause his death. The doctor called out his wife again by the name Yako-san. Pale, blood-stained, frightened, Yako-san emerged, holding her elbow. Now, as the doctor called out by the name of his wife, now Yako-san, his wife, appeared with blood in her full body. She was holding her elbow. She was not able to stand upright. She was pale. She was frightened and badly injured. We will be fine, I urged. Let's get out quickly. The doctor assured his wife that everything will be all right, and that too is very soon. Stumbling to the street, we fell, tripped by something at our feet. As the doctor and his wife tried to get out quickly, they tripped over something. They tried to get out of the place of the garden where they were. Legs hit on something and they fell down. I gasped out when I saw it was a head. Excuse me, please excuse me. He was dead. A gate had crushed him. The doctor is saying that we were aghast to see it was the head of a dead body. The body was crushed under a gate. So, looking at this scenario, we were aghast, we were frightened. There we stood, afraid. The doctor and his wife stood at that place, at that site, being so much frightened. The doctor is saying, we were frightened. We stood at the place, looking at the dead body in front of our eyes, and we were very much frightened. A house standing before us tilted, swayed, toppled, and crashed. Fire sprang up in the dust. There was a house in front of their eyes, and he's saying the house was tilted. It shook off and crashed immediately in front of them. And as the building crashed, it caught fire, and the fire spread rapidly with wind. It dawned on us, we must get to the hospital. We needed aid, and I should help my staff too. The doctor still said that we must get to the hospital as soon as possible because we need first aid, we need treatment, and also I need to help my staffs. The doctor wanted to help his staffs. He was badly injured, but still he wanted to help his staffs. Though this made sense to me then, I wonder how I could. See, the line given in the bracket is actually the afterthought of the doctor. The doctor realizes at the end, means when he is writing the journal, that it was almost impossible for him that he will go to the hospital and he will treat his staffs, he will help his staffs. But being a doctor, his morality was saying him at that point of time when he was injured on 6th August 1945, his mind was wishing to go to the hospital to help his staffs. But later he realizes that it was almost an impossible task for him at that point of time. That is why the poet has written this line inside the bracket. My legs gave away. I sat down on the ground. Thirst seized me, but no water could be found. The doctor is saying that his legs were unable to move a little more, and he sat down onto the ground. Thirst seized me, he was thirsty, but there was no sign of water around him. My breath was short, but bit by bit my strength seemed to revive, and I got up at length. The doctor is saying that he was having trouble even to take breath, but still he was getting his strength back. His morality was high, his spirit was high, so he was getting his strength back and he stood up once again. I was still without clothes, but I felt no shame. The doctor at that point of time was completely undressed. He is saying that I am still undressed, but I was not ashamed of that. They were naked and this did not give them shame. This thought disturbed me somewhat till I came upon a soldier standing silently. But the doctor is saying that he was only a little disturbed, not for he was naked, but by looking at the scenario in front of his eyes. He kept on walking, and in a little distance he came across a soldier. The soldier was standing by the roadside. He was completely silent. The soldier was standing there silently, who gave the towel around his neck to me. The soldier was having a towel around his neck, and when the doctor met the soldier gave the towel to the doctor. My legs, steep with dried blood, rebelled. I said to Yoko-san, she must go on ahead. The doctor's legs were steep and there was dried blood. The blood was dried, and thus he was unable to move his legs anymore. The doctor told his wife, the doctor told Yoko-san that she must not stop, she must go on and reach to the hospital. She did not wish to, but in our distress, what choice we had? The doctor says that his wife was not wishing. He did not want to go away, leaving her husband alone. But they did not have any other choice. A dreadful loneliness came over me when she had gone. My mind ran at a high speed. My body crept behind. The doctor was terrified with the loneliness when his wife departed. When the wife of the doctor left the doctor alone and went away, the doctor is saying he was dreadful, he was feeling lonely, he was feeling alone, and he was very much frightened of being alone. He tried to run his legs in a rapid speed. His mind was trying to go in a speed to catch up his wife. But his body did not accompany his mind. His mind was spirited, but the body was badly injured, and thus the body was not accompanying his mind to go any further. She did not wish to. I saw the shadowy forms of people. Some were ghosts, some scarecrows, all were wordless, dumb, arms stretched straight out, shoulder to dangling hand. The doctor is saying that the condition of the people of this place was such bad that the doctor could see the people as ghosts and scarecrows because their bodies were deshaped. Their bodies were not shaped in proper manner like a human. Their bodies were in a condition, in a shape like they were the ghosts, they were the scarecrows. And every one of them was wordless, they were silent. Nobody spoke anything, as if they were dumb. They kept their arms stretched, and their shoulders and hands were dangling apart. It took me some time to understand the friction of their bonds caused so much pain. They feared to chafe flesh against flesh again. The doctor is saying that he took some time to understand what the matter was. At first, he could not understand that why the people were walking, were standing like zombies, were like the ghosts. But later, he realized that they were in great pain because their bodies were burned, and when the burn wounds on their body had a friction against each other, they felt pain. To get their pain less, they were walking like zombies, they were walking like ghosts. Those who could shuffled in a blank parade towards the hospital. I saw dismayed. A woman with a child stand in my path, both without clothes. Had they come back from the birth? The poet is saying that the doctor was so much wounded, but still reached the hospital. And reaching the hospital, what scenario he is watching? He is watching that some people, being so much wounded, walked towards the hospital. They were emotionless. There was no emotion on them. They were walking like blank parrot. Just like when people walk through the parrot, they stay in attention position. There is no any movement. They just walk with the parrot. Similarly, the people there walking like they were walking in parrot. They were emotionless and completely blank. They even could not understand, could not realize what and how all these things had happened. The poet says that the doctor could see a woman. The woman was standing in his path, and the woman was having her children with her. But the irony was, the woman, along with the children, was naked. They were completely undressed. They did not have dress on their body. The doctor asked to himself, are they coming after taking bath? See how he is completely out of his mind by the condition of the scenario. That he knew that there was a devastating bomb blast, something very bad had happened. Something unusual was there that had taken away their clothes. The doctor was naked himself. The people in the street he had seen naked. And now the woman, along with the children, they were also naked. But still, he is asking to himself that are they coming after a bath? That is the reason they are naked. I turned my gaze, but was at a loss that she should stand thus till I came across a man without clothes, and now the thought arose that some strange thing had stripped us of our clothes. Now the doctor turned his look, he turned his gaze, but he failed to understand that what was the condition, what the condition they were in. These thoughts were hovering him. This thought was coming into his mind. He was in a loss. And now he could see a man also standing without clothes in front of his eyes. And this time a thought came into his mind. A thought occurred to the doctor that there must be something unusual that has taken their clothes away, that has seized their clothes away. And that is the reason people are walking in the street in naked. The face of an old woman on the ground was marred with suffering, but she made no sound. Now the doctor is saying he could see an old woman lying down onto the ground. Her face was disfigured and she was suffering a lot with pain. But she did not make a little sound. There was no sound of groaning coming out of her. She was not groaning in pain. Silence was common to us all. I heard no cries of anguish or a single word. So, what the doctor says? The doctor is saying that every person, everyone present there was in silence. They suffered much pain. They suffered so much pain that they forgot to make any sound. Just a single thing was common there, and that was their wordlessness, their silence. No sound of cry, no sound of groaning, no sound of shivering was there at all, though all the suffering was present into the scenario. So that's how a beautiful, heart-wrenching poem by Vikram Seth, which describes the devastating effect of the atomic bomb blast in Hiroshima on the date 6th August 1945. The days The infamous day is a black day for the whole world. So, thank you, dear viewers. That's all for today. We shall meet in another video very soon. Thank you and bye.